solution for any device. E-Edition is free for subscribers, or just $7.99 a month. The Bakersfield Californian. We're everywhere and anytime. Subscribe today. Bakersfield.com.
Roadrunner Rundown on Bakersfield.com and the CSUB Roadrunners Digital Network. Live from the Dignity Health Studios in downtown Bakersfield, California.
And welcome once again to Roadrunner Rundown, the official program, CSUB Roadrunner Athletics. Corey Costello with you. Thanks so much for joining us once again on the show. We got a great program planned as we're into the season now. The sports have started. Everybody getting underway last weekend. We'll bring you some of the scores and highlights from around the fall sports at CSUB. A couple other scores from around the Western Athletic Conference coming up as well on today's program. And, just good to have the action back and good to have a lot of stuff to be talking about and a lot of good wins this past weekend as well. Some big victories for some CSUB programs. We'll be talking about those on today's show as well. Got a great student-athlete profile coming up. Our first Dignity Health student-athlete profile coming up in the next segment. We caught up with Sara Little of CSUB volleyball. The Roadrunners coming off a 2-1 weekend at the Sam Houston State Tournament. They also had their first victory over an SEC school as they swept Mississippi State. But we'll chat with Sara Little. A great story. A local product, went to Bakersfield High School, but more importantly is a player, a regular contributor now to CSUB volleyball after only playing her volleyball starting in her junior year in high school. So this is technically her 5th season playing volleyball, and she's a Division I caliber athlete. So we'll talk with her about that and much more coming up on our Dignity Health student athlete profile in the second segment of the program. Also on the show today, it's that time of year once again as Bakersfield Life Magazine just came out. We like to regularly feature some of the stuff happening in Bakersfield Life. And this month's issue, which came out on Sunday, which is still available, they had a nice profile piece about Dr. Sara Little, the provost at CSUB. A couple other things in the magazine relating to the university. So we will chat with Rachel Cook, assistant managing editor. She joins us again on the program, and also going to be talking about some of the events coming up in the month of September, and some of those are going to be attended by CSUB student athletes as well. So we'll be talking about that coming up in the bottom of the hour. And third segment of the program today, we go with another In Focus segment, as we like to every once in a while sort of focus in on an NCAA issue. A few weeks ago, you might have heard about the NCAA passing a new governance structure, and I read about it, and honestly, it could have been written in German. I had no idea what they were saying. So Marcus Brown, who's our senior associate AD for compliance, the guy also has a law degree and is much smarter than I am, is going to come on the program and try to put it sort of in layman's terms, like how do we understand this new governance structure and then the quote-unquote autonomy coming to the 5 major BCS conferences and how that's going to have a trickle-down effect in the NCAA and the smaller institutions as well. So we'll talk with him about that coming up at 10:45. I like I said, I read it, I sort of get it, but it's a very, very small understanding of this thing. So I needed to bring in an expert. So Marcus Brown will join us coming up at 10:45 to talk about that. A few other things happening as well. And I think kind of what you're seeing, and I think an opening weekend of college football last weekend was an indicator really of what this autonomy structure might do. You saw a lot of dominating victories by the power conferences over some of the smaller schools. So we'll kind of talk about that, how that's going to have an effect on other sports as well. So that's all coming up on the program. But as I said, we had a busy weekend. We had every team in action for the most part in the fall, and I want to start with men's soccer. The men were on the road Friday night at San Diego State. The Aztecs play in the Pac-12 in men's soccer. Bakersfield nearly joined that conference a couple years ago, and so they proved they could compete at that level on Friday night. Remember, the Roadrunners were coming off a 1-0 exhibition loss to Pac-12 Stanford the week before. Well, this time a goal in the first half by freshman Jamie Carey Morrell in just his 3rd touch touch of his career. I mean, he literally got on the field for the first time and his third touch of his college career. He nets what would be the game winner. Nick Clever made 5 saves in goal for the Roadrunners, including a couple at point-blank range, as Bakersfield shocked the Aztecs 1-0 in the first game of the season. And we got some reaction from first Jamie Carey Morrell, Nick Claver, and James Garces.
My experience in my first college game, I was very nervy at the start, but the boys helped me through it. When I got into the game, I got to my normal self, I relaxed, and it was a well-deserved win. We defended properly, and we deserved it.
Yeah, our first clean sheet, I think it was really important for the whole team to get a good defense going the whole game. And I made some good saves, but at all it was a good team spirit.
Yeah, definitely first game, get out of the way, get a positive result was definitely good for spirits of the team. I mean, the boys are stoked to get away with 1-0 win. It was definitely a battle.
So there you have it, 1-0. The Roadrunners beating San Diego State out of the Pac-12, and an awesome victory for CSUB, beating the Aztecs 1-0 in the season opener, and the Roadrunners definitely deserving that one. A nice start to Richie Grant and his head coaching career at Bakersfield with the 1-0 victory. Some other scores from around the Western Athletic Conference. Utah Valley, not only in their season opener, but their first ever program game, they beat UMass 5-0. A dominating victory for their first win as a program. UNLV, who was selected to have a strong season in the WAC, beating Western Illinois 2-1. Also, it was defending champion Seattle over Furman 2-1 as well in their season opener. Bradley beat San Jose State 3-2. Former Roadrunners head coach Simon Tobin, of course, the new head coach at San Jose State. He loses his debut 3-2 to Bradley. Grand Canyon fell 1-0 to Wisconsin Green Bay in double overtime in their season opener. Missouri State beat new men's soccer member Incarnate Word 1-0. They're one of the affiliate members as well. Remember, UNLV, San Jose State, and Incarnate Word, Houston Baptist, all affiliate members in men's soccer. It was Rutgers beating Kansas City by the same 1-0 score as well. And Air Force and Navy. Oh, yeah, Air Force, also an affiliate member. That makes 5. Playing to a 1-1 draw as well in their season opener. All right, for CSUB men's soccer, baseball happened a while ago, but I think we got a... Hey, there we go. I got an old baseball slide up there. Nonetheless, men's soccer will be on the road once again at the UNLV tournament. Let's check it out Friday at 4:30. Bakersfield will take on Howard University Friday at 4:30, and then they'll also play IPFW Sunday at 10:30. On to CSUB women's soccer. Bakersfield, falling 2-1 on Friday night at Sacramento State, a game where the Runners gave up the first goal of the game with about 15 seconds to go in the first half. That's kind of been got a little snake bit there, but losing 2-1, and then they gave up, obviously, they scored the equalizer, but gave up the game-winning goal in the second half. So they lose 2-1. Didn't get any better for them on the road Sunday. Long haul to Southern Utah. Bakersfield loses that one 5-0. Runners now 0-4 on the season. They will return home for a little home cooking on Friday night. They will be hosting Northern Iowa Friday at 7 o'clock. And actually that Sunday game, the other way around, Bakersfield will be at Long Beach State Sunday at 7 p.m. So home on Friday, away on Sunday, both 7 o'clock games for CSUB women's soccer as they look for their first win of the season. On to volleyball. It was a great opening weekend for CSUB Roadrunners and new head coach Giovanna Mello. They were at the Sam Houston State Tournament. Check this out. The Roadrunners sweeping Mississippi State 3-0. That is a Southeastern Conference school. You might have heard of that little group of schools. First win ever for the Roadrunners over an SEC program, and they do it in big fashion, sweeping Mississippi State 3-0. Roadrunners also turning around, and it looked like they might run the entire clean table, as on Saturday in the first game of Saturday's doubleheader. They beat Louisiana Monroe 3-0 as well. By by the way, in that first game, it was Sydney Haynes made her CSUB debut, had 18 kills in the match in the win over Mississippi State. She also hit .467 to lead Bakersfield in the win. Haynes, a redshirt freshman last season, and Kelsey Sawyer also had 12 kills in that match. Louisa Martins had 42 assists in the win as well. Saturday's action, they were led by Kelsey Sawyer once again in this game in the win over Louisiana Monroe. She had 11 kills and 4 digs. Molly O'Hagan added 10 kills and 6 blocks in the victory. And then the nightcap of that tournament on Saturday, Bakersfield falling to Sam Houston State 3-0, the host school that ultimately went on to win the tournament as well. Runners were limited, though, in that first game to under a 100 hitting percentage in the first 2 games of that match. So kind of a slow start in the late game on Saturday. For Bakersfield, here's what the volleyball program has coming up. They will be on the road once again, and this time a little further east as they go to Dayton, Ohio for the Flyer Raider Invitational. In that game, they will take on IPFW, Bowling Green on Friday, and then Nebraska, which is ranked 17th in the country, and host Dayton on Saturday. So a lot of games coming up in a 2-day span for the Roadrunners, and again, that's coming up at the Flyer Raider Invitational in Dayton, Ohio next week. All right, on to CSUB cross country. Just a couple notes on them. The runners were led by LaShia Morgan who finished 40th out of a pool of 94 competitors with a time of 19:54 with a 2 at the Mark Covert Classic at Fullerton. Megan Thompson finished second for Bakersfield. Her time, 20:36.2, and both those were better than last year's time, so good improvement for the runners. Matter of fact, everybody improved on last year's time on the same course. Roadrunners are at the Fresno State Invitational this Saturday in Fresno. A couple news items to get to, as well as I want to throw out a congratulations, because I know it's taken him about a year to get this happening, but Stephon Carter, the all-time leading scorer for CSUB men's basketball, being picked up on a professional contract, an international professional contract, as Carter, who did plenty of that in his college career with the Roadrunners, 4 years, and a lot of highlights, a lot of scoring, and a lot of steals to go along with that. But anyway, took him about a year, and I know he was working at it for a very long time. Signing his first pro contract, Quintanar of the EBA in Spain, about the third highest league there in Spain. He's the second Roadrunner to sign overseas in the last few months, after Isaiah Grayson signed with Pallacanestro Trieste in the Gold League in Italy last month. But Stephon Carter last played with the Runners in the 12-13 season. Of course, all-time leading scorer with Bakersfield. And like we said, this last year, I know at one point he had a contract in Israel, and then he had another one in Sweden or something, and that didn't work out. And so kind of missed the international window last year, and just kept working, and finally paying off for him. So congrats to him. He actually is going to join us on the program next week from Spain as a professional basketball player. So we'll look forward to that. Also, congratulations to former Roadrunner baseball player Oscar Sinai. He was called up from the rookie league Rays of the Florida Gulf Coast League to Single A Princeton Rays. Sinai hitless in his debut, but scored a run in Princeton's 3-2 win in 13 innings on Saturday night. So a great sign for Oscar Sinai. Remember, was an unsigned draft pick by the Rays. Had a good enough season in the rookie league. Was called up to Princeton in Single A. So congratulations to him. All right, we got to step away and take a break. When we come back, we're gonna be checking in with Sara Little, CSUB volleyball. What a great story too, and it's our Dignity Health student athlete profile. We'll come back with that. Stick around. This is Roadrunner Rundown.
Hey everybody, I'm Louis Amestoy, the host of the Baco Motorsports Power Hour here on Bakersfield.com. You can watch us live every Tuesday at 11 o'clock as we talk about things going on at Auto Club Formosa Raceway, at Kern County Raceway Park, and of course the historic Bakersfield Speedway. We'll have results, we'll have interviews with drivers, we'll have updates on Kevin Harvick and Casey Mears on NASCAR. Also talk about NHRA, IndyCar, Formula One. Also be joined by Mike Griffith in studio every day.
Current Business Journal contains news and information from local business leaders and organizations. Topics include agriculture, health and medical, energy, real estate, and more. Visit currentbusinessjournal.com to find out how to subscribe or where to pick up a free copy. To inquire about advertising in the bi-monthly Business Journal, call 395-7586. Find us online on Facebook and Twitter, as well as on currentbusinessjournal.com.
Save 50 to 90% with the Bakersfield Californians Daily Deal featured on Bakersfield.com. A daily deal is offered each weekday on services from local restaurants, dry cleaners, health and beauty services, retail shops, and local activities for the entire family. The daily deal is 100% local. Find these amazing deals only at dailydeal.bakersfield.com.
The Roadrunner Scholarship Fund creates educational opportunities for over 300 student athletes at CSUB. By becoming a member and donating to the Roadrunner Scholarship Fund, you're not only helping the Roadrunners fund the scholarship needs of our teams, you're investing in the future. The Roadrunner Scholarship Fund isn't just developing student athletes, we're developing tomorrow's leaders from lessons learned during competition. For more information, log on to gorunners.com/donate and become a member of the Roadrunner Scholarship Fund.
And welcome back into Roadrunner Rundown. Still to come on the program, we're going to be speaking with Rachel Cook. She's the managing editor here of Bakersfield Life Magazine. We'll chat with her about the issue that just came out, and there's a story about CSUB Provost Dr. Sara Little. We've also got a few other things pertinent to the Roadrunners that we'll be chatting about in this issue as well. So she'll join us on the program. Also, Marcus Brown, our senior associate AD for compliance, will come on to try to help us make sense of the new proposed NCAA governance structure and all that good stuff. Like I said, I read it, and it might as well be in German. I just couldn't quite figure it out. But Marcus is going to help us kind of get it into. And we have we have pictures, because pictures always make things more. We have pictures and charts. Pictures and charts always make things more understandable. So we'll get to those in the final segment of the program today as well. But you know what? We like to. We get a lot of student athletes in studio, and that's great. And we always try to get them here on the program. But once in a while we like to sort of catch up to our student athletes after practice times, that kind of stuff, and really kind of get into their story a little bit. And we got some great stories, and that's one of the greatest parts about this show, is we have over 300 plus stories in our student athletes to tell every single year. Well, Sara Little is a junior volleyball player with the Roadrunners, expected to have more of an impact in 2014 than she did when she started playing. Well, the interesting part is Sara Little didn't start playing volleyball until she was a junior in high school. So in about 5 years, she has transitioned from a new player to the sport to a starter at the NCAA Division I level. So here is our first installment of our Dignity Health student athlete profile. Junior opposite hitter Sara Little has a new challenge lying ahead of her in 2014. New head coach Giovanna Mello wants to transition Little from role player to team leader, and that's not something she's shying away from.
I'm going to take that wholeheartedly. I mean, I've talked to her personally, and we've talked, together, and I am ready to step up to that challenge. I would love to be more of a leader figure on the team, and I would love to take the role of having more responsibility and really helping the team succeed this year. I just think it's something that would really bring joy to me, and it's something that I'm really trying to succeed at this preseason, and really kind of step up and become more of a voice and a leader on the team and help these girls do well.
Sara didn't see a lot of court last year, but we're hoping that she will see a lot more this year and bringing a lot, because the same thing, she has the experience within the team and has a lot to bring to the program.
Along with Coach Mello's expectations comes her new system, a new approach from what Little and the rest of the Roadrunners were used to playing the last few seasons.
It's tough. I mean, not everything comes easy, so it's something that, I kind of have to take in stride. I work on one thing, and as soon as I feel like I've mastered that, I move on to something else. I mean, we are learning a new system, so, a lot of time the coaches are like, okay, you did this right, but now you got to work on this and then this. So you kind of got to take it step by step and just not really get that frustrated, but know that they're just trying to help and, they're trying to make us all do better. And so along with that, trying to be a leader, it's hard. I mean, I'm living it personally, so I know it can get frustrating. And so when I see my teammates getting frustrated as well, I just encourage them to, this is all for the better. They're only trying to make you better. This was going to work. You just have to buy into the system. And I think we can do really well if we all have positive attitudes and we just keep fighting.
Little has been at CSUB for 2 seasons now and admits there was a big adjustment to the NCAA Division I level.
Coming into the school, period, college is like a huge step up. And I was just, even my whole freshman year, I would feel like I was just so intimidated to, go out and just give it my all. And I think, kind of getting the hang of it my sophomore year, and then towards the end of my sophomore year, I just went after it, and I, wasn't afraid, and I didn't let down. And it just made me learn that it's okay, that you can go for it and you don't have to, reserve yourself. You can give it your all on the court and good things are going to happen. And so when I've learned that, I've embraced it, and it's made things a lot easier for me.
But adjustments aren't new to Little. She adjusted her entire sports career when she was in high school. She had been a soccer player all her life, but decided to give volleyball a try when her friends encouraged her to check out a camp.
Literally my first exposure, actually, it's funny because I was training for soccer at a camp, and then I tried to do a volleyball camp because everyone was like, why don't you try it? You're a little taller. So I just, I was like, okay, why not? And then instantly I fell in love with it. I was like, Mom, this is something I think I'm going to love, and I think I'm going to love for a while. So
Little says at 5'10", volleyball made more sense than soccer, and she's embraced her new sport as she starts just her 5th year playing the game.
It was a little harder, I guess, to play soccer because I'm taller than all the other girls. My mom would say that it was easier to be picked out on the field because I was one of the taller ones. Now I'm not as tall being volleyball, but it's tough to say. I have definitely embraced the sport of volleyball because I've fallen in love with it. Sometimes I'll play a few pickup soccer games, but I have definitely fallen in love with the sport, and I think it's good to kind of be new to the sport because you don't really get burnt out on it, and I am by no means burnt out on it, and I just am excited every day to go in the gym and learn more about the sport. So,
in 5 years, from novice high school and Bakersfield Volleyball Club player to potential starter and a team leader with the Roadrunners, quite a journey in a short amount of time.
It's crazy to get this opportunity. I didn't even expect it, and I guess I was just so surprised. I didn't realize the opportunity I was given, and every time I look back and I think about where I started and where I am now, it blows my mind that I had that opportunity to come here and play at this school at this level in just a short amount of time.
And the newness of the sport didn't just start with indoor volleyball. During Little's freshman season, the Roadrunners added sand volleyball for the spring, yet another new sport for the local product to learn.
Sand volleyball is completely different. I know a lot of people kind of mesh the two together because they both have the word volleyball in it, but it's so different. You're, of course, in the sand. It's hard to move. You think you can jump, but you really can't. It's tough. It's really tough, but in playing sand, you not only get to enjoy a different kind of sport, but when you get back into indoor, it is amazing, and it's so good to be back on the court because it's so much easier to move, and you just feel like you can get so much higher on your vertical. So sand volleyball definitely improves my indoor sport.
So picking up 2 sports in the last 5 years and excelling in them as well has made Sara Little the player she is today, but she spreads that credit around.
Having a lot of trust and also believing in myself. Of course, I have to give credit to a lot of, the teammates that I've had, throughout the time that I've been playing volleyball. They always encourage me, and coaches as well. They always encourage me to do more, and, sometimes I struggle, and not only them helping me, but also me believing in myself that I can do it is what keeps me going. It's always going to be tough, especially at this level, but I just have to remember I was given this opportunity, and I need to play to the fullest extent that I can, because I don't want to, waste a chance to do something that I look back on and regret.
Little is also getting the chance to play at the college level in her hometown. While many student athletes prefer moving away for their college careers, Little wanted to stay in Bakersfield.
Being from here, from Bakersfield, I get to see my family, which I love doing. It's kind of, killing two birds with one stone, because I definitely love seeing my family, but also I can also stay here and play the sport I love at a D1 level. I was, looking at other schools academically, but when I found this opportunity to play volleyball here, I was like, not only can I be close to home, but I can also play, volleyball, and I'm given this opportunity, and I can stay in town. And so it was really just a decision that I felt was right.
When it comes to academics, Sara Little is a business administration major. As a junior, she's getting into the major specific courses and is dedicated to finishing that out as well.
I mean, I feel like it's going to be tough, but now that I'm getting into more of my major and kind of finishing up with that gen ed, I am enjoying it more. So it may be stressful, but I'm working towards something that I want to do in the future. So I'm kind of seeing the bigger goal and what I'm striving to do in life, and I think it helps me when, I'm in classes for business and I'm working toward that degree. So I'm excited to go to school and learn.
Sara Little knows her story is unique. Not many student athletes pick up a sport as an upperclassman in high school and get to play that sport in college. She has advice for those hoping to duplicate her success.
It's going to be tough. I mean, nothing's given to you, by hand, and nothing's going to be easy. But I think if you continue to work at it and you believe in yourself and think that you can do it, and also lean on other people. Don't think that you have to carry a full-on weight by yourself and deal with all these problems on your own. You can, talk to people. That's why it's great to be on a volleyball team, because you have all these people around you that want you to succeed, and coaches, and the administration as a whole, as the athletic department. I think when you reach out to different people, it helps you get through struggles or whatever you find that's hard, and I think that really helps, believing in yourself and also having other people help you.
Sara Little and the rest of the Roadrunners continue their season this weekend in Dayton, Ohio at the Flyer Raider Invitational. Home opener is set for September 19th. There you have it. That's our Dignity Health student athlete profile, and Sara Little, CSUB volleyball. Great story. Didn't play the sport until, she kind of got too tall for soccer, and her friend said, why don't you go try this volleyball camp? I think you'll like it. And here she is, 5 seasons later. Now she's a regular contributor to the Roadrunners after just playing volleyball at the junior and high school. Amazing. So anyway, great story, and more of those to come. Matter of fact, next week, Joe Massimia, CSUB men's soccer, our Dignity Health student athlete profile. So looking forward to that. All right, we got to step away and take a break. When we come back, we're going to be speaking with Rachel Cook, Bakersfield Life Magazine assistant managing editor. Join us, and we'll chat about some things happening in this month's edition of the magazine, and some things happening in Bakersfield as well that the Roadrunners will be a part of. So that's coming up. Stick around. We'll be right back. This is Roadrunner Rundown.
Buying a home is one of the most important decisions you can make. Scott Tobias Real Estate is here for you. Allow our seasoned and professional associates guide you through every step of the way. Scott Tobias Real Estate is a full-service real estate company providing expert assistance in residential and commercial real estate. The real estate business has changed in many ways over the years, but the desire for excellent customer service is still very much in demand. Our objective is not to be the biggest, but to offer the best real estate services. We're open 7 days a week.
I am not going to ask him about funguses.
Fungi.
Honey, have you called Gun Knocks about fixing that toilet upstairs?
I saw a plumbing episode on the Fix It channel. Yeah, I can fix it.
You could try it yourself, or you could just call Gunlax and save your marriage.
Hey, honey, I think I did it! Oh!
Gunlax, 327-3052.
That wasn't so bad.
Toyota's annual clearance event is happening now at Bill Wright Toyota. Huge savings on every car, truck, and SUV. Take advantage of 0% long-term financing plus $1,000 subvention cash on all new 2014 Camrys, or 0% long-term financing on all new 2014 Sienna, Avalon, RAV4, and Prius liftback. Plus, you get Bill Wright Toyota employee pricing on both the new RAV4 and Prius. Get more than you expect at Bill Wright Toyota. Doing it right for 44 years and still doing it right. Toyota. Let's go places.
Kern Business Journal contains news and information from local business leaders and organizations. Topics include agriculture, health and medical, energy, real estate, and more. Visit KernBusinessJournal.com to find out how to subscribe or where to pick up a free copy. To inquire about advertising in the bi-monthly Business Journal, call 395-7586. Find us online on Facebook and Twitter, as well as on KernBusinessJournal.com.
The Roadrunner Scholarship Fund creates educational opportunities for over 300 student athletes at CSUB. By becoming a member and donating to the Roadrunner Scholarship Fund, you're not only helping the Roadrunners fund the scholarship needs of our teams, you're investing in the future. The Roadrunner Scholarship Fund isn't just developing student athletes. We're developing tomorrow's leaders from lessons learned during competition. For more information, log on to gorunners.com/donate and become a member of the Roadrunner Scholarship Fund.
Welcome back into Roadrunner Rundown, and my thanks to Sara Little for joining us with our Dignity Health Student Athlete Profile. As I mentioned, Joe Massimia of CSUB Men's Soccer will join us in that segment next week on the program. And, of course, as I brought up earlier, Stephon Carter, who is the all-time leading scorer with CSUB Men's Basketball, just signed his pro contract in Spain. He's going to join us from Spain next week. We'll chat about his experience overseas and now a professional basketball player in the EBA. So we'll chat with him about that on next week's show. But a lot of stuff going on. Every once in a while, we like to bring this lady into studio because she's got great insight of what's happening in Bakersfield, as she's the assistant managing editor with Bakersfield Life Magazine. Rachel Cook joins us again on the show. Rachel, good to see you. How you been?
Good. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Well, thanks for joining us again and kind of updating. We like to kind of use this segment to let people from the outside that are looking at the show realize that there's things actually happening in Bakersfield. I think people assume that there's nothing going on, but this town is very busy. And so
Oh, definitely. And this is the time of year where it really gets busy again, because I think in the summer it's hot. A lot of people are out of town. Yeah. And so now it just starts to kick back into gear. There's so many events going on, sports starting up again. So
so we want to use this segment to let people know, the out-of-towners who watch the show, hey, there's stuff happening. You know, there's reasons to show up to Bakersfield, and even student-athlete parents that might make the trip from down south for the weekend to watch a game. Hey, there's some other stuff happening too. They can check out and be a part of the community. So a couple things in this. I know this latest issue, which came out, the September issue, which came out on Sunday, correct?
On Saturday.
Is really focused on a lot of women in the community and things like that. And one of them happens to be Dr. Coley, who is our provost at CSUB. So obviously, and Dr. Coley is a very interesting lady, and very smart, and has all her interests are all over the charts. So again, another example of just a strong woman leader in the community.
Mm-hmm. She was we were really glad that she said yes to being featured. I think we have a great shot by one of our staff photographers of her here. Felix Adamo took the picture. She has really lived all over the place. Yeah. And so I think it speaks well to our community that she's chosen, to settle here, and that she dedicates so much time. And she talks about here that, many of her favorite community events are all going on campus. There's the Jazz Festival, there's the athletic events, there's the theater productions, there's Celebrate CSUB. I think in the next issue, we're going to have something on Party in the Park, which is an alumni organization event that's going to be happening this fall. So there's always something going on here, and definitely on campus as well.
Dr. Coley is one of those, a rabid basketball fan. Every home game, I look in the stands and she's there, and she's yelling at referees and stuff too. I mean, it's awesome to see, and she's one of those faculty and staff members that we have that is very supportive and loves Coach Barnes and what he's doing with the men's basketball. I was in a meeting with her once, and we were talking about, I forgot what it was. I think it was national exposure, and she said, well, when Coach Barnes and the team are cutting down the nets at the WAC tournament, and we're in the NCAA tournament, we'll get all the exposure that we need. So she definitely understands the importance of athletics and is a huge supporter as well. So one of the people you profile. Another one actually that kind of has a, I want to say, a loose connection to Bakersfield is, and it was at the very back of the issue, but Judy McCarthy, who is the wife of Congressman Kevin McCarthy, and of course one of the most powerful Republicans right now in Congress. He's a CSUB alum, so there's kind of the third party CSUB attachment there.
Definitely.
So she has a interesting piece as well. And a couple things that I did notice in this month's issue that I also wanted to point out. There's a charity contest that's being run right now through PG&E and the Bakersfield Californian, which is Kern Gives, and it is a sort of a voting competition where people can win $10,000 for the winner.
For the winning charity. So there's multiple steps to this. We're really excited to partner with PG&E for this undertaking. The first step of it basically is that folks can nominate, any charity. The charity has to be, 501c3 with the IRS. It has to be within PG&E's service area, and it has to do charity work, not advocacy for an issue or something like that. And so the first stage is that folks can nominate their favorite charity. It doesn't matter how many times necessarily they get nominated, and then there's going to be a committee that looks at all those nominees to make sure they're kind of legit, and they'll pick the final 5 finalists in different categories, and then folks will have another chance to vote on this. Oh, and I'm sorry, it looks like there'll be 6 finalists in each of the 5 categories. Lots of numbers. And so then when those finalists are out there, people can vote on the different categories, and then one of the winners of the 5 categories will get $10,000, and the others will each get $2,000.
Nice. And some of the categories, and I think, and I say this because I'm pretty sure that, when Josiah Castro, who's our assistant AD for the Scholarship Fund, sees this, he's going to be all over it. Because I think the Roadrunner Scholarship Fund kind of fits into the, the education and youth development category, because exactly what we're doing is developing leaders. And so I'm sure that they'll be nominated. They'll be nominated.
Right. Well, and the categories are arts and culture, and then education, youth development, environment and animals, human services, and community benefit and health. So
yeah, and so I'm thinking there's going to be that the Roadrunner Scholarship Fund might be in on this as well. So I'm just letting you know in advance. There's
we'll
a
get
good
ready.
shot.
And folks can start nominating on September 15th. So you have from September 15th through September 26th on kerngives.com. That's when you can start nominating. So if you want to start preparing and getting your stuff together and getting your ducks in a row, now's the time.
Perfect. I know you got a lot of things tabbed in your magazine here. So what are your favorite parts about this month's issue that you want to show to the folks?
Well, some other stuff that ties in with CSUB, we have this great undertaking put on by the library here in town called One Book, One Bakersfield, One Kern, where each year they choose a book on a topic that's important to us here locally. Yeah. This year it's Enrique's Journey. It's a book by a former reporter that follows the journey of an immigrant from Central America to the United States, going through Mexico on trains to be reunited with his mother. And this reporter took the journey twice herself, actually, just the same way he took it too. Wow. So, and this ties in because it also fits in with the first year experience at CSUB. So freshmen reading the book, and there's a lot of great events tied in with it. The speaker will be, the author will be coming and speaking. Yeah. There'll be a documentary screening, and they just have tons and tons of events. So if you want to find out more about those, you can go to kerncountylibrary.org, and they'll be going on all fall long.
And we host the evening with the author at the Icardo Center every year as well. Great. So that's coming up in November. Is that?
It's October 30th is when that is, and the author is Sonia Nazaro.
Nice. So. Awesome. So there's that happening as well. And what else you got?
Well, we've got the fair coming up. If you haven't ever been to the fair, if you're a student from out of town, it's definitely worth your time. It'll be happening right when you get back in school. It's from the 17th to the 28th of September. There's a lot of really amazing food, fun exhibits, animals, great concerts. Joan Jett is coming this year. I think she's the closing concert. So you definitely want to get out there and spend some time there.
Yeah, and usually we've got some folks out from from CSUB Athletics, usually a part of the fair as well, kind of out there giving out information and all that good stuff too. So we'll always be a part of it. And I don't think I went last year, which is a crime. I just don't know how I didn't get to the fair. But
oh, I love it.
I know. No, I seriously, usually it's one of those things. It's one of those deals too where I don't eat all day because there's a good shot.
Yeah, because you're gonna eat so much stuff, and it's
like
all so bad.
calories.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you just don't. Fair calories don't count.
It's not. Yeah, it's not like I don't eat all day so I can eat more at the fair. It's because I know there's gonna be like 30,000 calories in the whatever. I'm putting down.
Exactly. Well,
so.
And we had one of our great freelancers, Kevin McCloskey. He went through like some of the classics, like the DeMolay corn dog, the Boy Scout baked potatoes with everything. You've got a Basque booth. You've got Max Patio, which has kind of like the unique things like the Cool Lickle, the pickle with in Kool-Aid, and deep fried peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and roast beef sundaes. Like I don't get that adventurous, but there's definitely that there too.
So there's those.
If you want to try it,
there's those that are a little more adventurous. As well. So busy and a busy time as you mentioned earlier. I know like with sports firing up and all that stuff. You've also like this weekend. I know event that we're usually a part of too is Village Fest, which is a giant event at the what I always forget. I want to call it
Kern County Museum.
Yeah, and so that's happening. That's happening as well. And then
on September 6th. Yep.
Yeah,
the Greek food festival is happening this weekend.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out for the first time. Actually, I've always meant to go.
I love that thing
is it a good
so much. I was because now they do it twice a year, and I missed it in the spring, and I was just devastated. I was so upset. I love it, and I think they have my favorite thing is the feta fries. They have these great like really thin slices of potatoes fried with feta cheese on them.
Nice.
But they're not there at one time, so I'm really hoping they're there in the fall. And that's another one where I just like don't eat all day, and I just eat until I'm so sick. It's worth every penny. It's so wonderful.
And what Greek food has kind of got a semi-healthy aspect to it. You know, I know that you cook a lot of lamb. That's a pretty good healthy meat.
I don't know. I think that my favorite part too is they have like baklava sundaes.
Yes.
So I don't think there's anything good for you in that.
That's
but
off
they're
the charts.
so good.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so delicious.
No, I've every year it's one of those things I always say I'm gonna go to that. I'm gonna go to that, and then I saw
will
it for
go
this
twice
weekend.
a year.
Excellent.
I haven't lived here that long, but I've gone so many times.
I definitely plan on making that that trip as well, and that's one of the things too. It's like we have these different all these different cultures and festivals and stuff, and I think that gets lost on a lot of people. But I mean, they put on whatever festival it might be, it's always a solid event, and no matter who's putting it on around in town, and that's something I think that gets kind of lost in what we do in Bakersfield.
Oh yeah, and we have a lot of things that are growing, lots of new things like the Mac and Cheese Festival was new this year.
Right.
We have 2 different bacon and beer festivals this fall.
I've seen that. Yes.
One in October, one in November. The Battle of the Bacon Festivals.
Yes.
We got the Craft Beer Festival in May. We have Village Fest. There's tons of. I mean, you can go out of town and find other things if you want, but it's also really easy to stay in town and find stuff to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't really have too much bacon, so
Yeah,
2
why
festivals
not?
probably isn't a bad idea. If you didn't get your fill the first time,
Yeah,
you
you
got
can
the
like
second
take
one.
a break.
Yes.
Oh.
You've always.
I don't know that. Just the thought of like eating a bunch of bacon and beer.
Yeah. So what are you guys looking kind of forward? I know you just got the September issue out, but you guys are always working. What's coming up? What are you kind of working on for the October issue?
It's
of
our
Bakersfield
food
Life?
issue, so
Is
that's
it?
really exciting. We're going to be looking at some local pizzas, some brunch spots. I feel like we have a lot of really great like brunch restaurants around town, so we'll be touching on those. We'll be highlighting where you can get some unique ingredients, because that's the other thing I like. Sometimes it can be a little tricky to find stuff, but we have like amazing like Indian grocery stores and the Asian market over on White Lane, I think it is. Like we have some really awesome things if you go look for them, some really unique ingredients. So I'm really looking forward to the food issue. We'll have local restaurant profiles too. Our Dudes and Divas are going out. I think they're going to NV Cafe and also to Wall Street, which is new downtown.
Yeah.
The owners of Enzo Sushi opened that one up. So that's kind of exciting.
Wall Street's starting to pick up too. I mean, that
It's
used to be like
definitely-
where you didn't want to be after dark, and now Wall Street is really becoming like great restaurants are opening up on Wall Street.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's getting the profiles coming up, and that place is beautiful.
Yeah.
That restaurant, if you go in it, it looks like just very nicely done, like something you'd see in a really big city. So
Yeah, and it's a great food town. I always tell people that it's a great food town. And
Oh, yeah.
I have a neighbor who does. He gets all his great. He's a great cook, and he gets all his great ingredients at Asian Market. Like he's there all the time.
Oh yeah, and I think that's the other thing we have. Maybe like some people think that we eat a lot of fast food, and we do have a lot of restaurants and people like eating out. But
Yeah.
I think people also like really good quality food. This is a big foodie town for sure. I think
It's a big test market town too for a lot of the.
Oh, yeah.
For a lot of the corporations, like they test here first, and they always say if it works in Bakersfield, it'll work in LA. NCAA.
Yep.
So we get the first crack at it. All right, Rachel, thanks so much for joining us. Well done, as always. Great
Thanks.
job with Bakersfield Life Magazine. And we'll catch up with you at some point next month to talk about the October issue.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you,
All
Corey.
right, Rachel Cook here on Roadrunner Rundown. We're going to step away and take a break. When we come back, Marcus Brown, our Senior Associate AD for Compliance, will join us. We'll talk new NCAA governance structure and what that all means in English. We'll try to figure it out. We'll be back. It's Roadrunner Rundown.
Honey, have you called Gun Nuts about fixing that toilet upstairs?
You know, I saw a plumbing episode on the Fix It channel. Yeah, I can fix it.
You could try it yourself, or you could just call Gunlax and save your marriage.
Hey, honey, I think I did it.
Gunlax, 327-3052.
That wasn't so bad.
North Bakersfield Toyota is celebrating August with massive savings all month long during Toyota's annual clearance event. We're clearing out over 250 vehicles to make room for the next model year. And now's the time to get the Toyota you've always wanted. 0% financing on 15 different Toyota models, rebates as large as $2,500 make August the best time to get your best deal. It's Toyota's annual clearance event only at North Bakersfield Toyota Scion, Freeway 99 and 7th Standard.
Hey everybody, I'm Louis Amestoy, the host of the Baco Motorsports Power Hour here on Bakersfield.com. You can watch us live every Tuesday at 11 o'clock as we talk about things going on at Auto Club Formosa Raceway, at Kern County Raceway Park, and of course the historic Bakersfield Speedway. We'll have results, we'll have interviews with drivers, we'll have updates on Kevin Harvick and Casey Mears on NASCAR. Also talk about NHRA, IndyCar, Formula One. Also be joined by Mike Griffith in studio every day.
The Roadrunner Scholarship Fund creates educational opportunities for over 300 student athletes at CSUB. By becoming a member and donating to the Roadrunner Scholarship Fund, you're not only helping the Roadrunners fund the scholarship needs of our teams, you're investing in the future. The Roadrunner Scholarship Fund isn't just developing student athletes. We're developing tomorrow's leaders from lessons learned during competition. For more information, log on to gorunners.com/donate and become a member of the Roadrunner Scholarship Fund.
And we are back on Roadrunner Rundown. My thanks to Rachel Cook for joining us from Bakersfield Life Magazine. I always like to get her on the program to kind of highlight what's happening in Bakersfield, to remind folks watching this program from outside of Bakersfield, yes, there are things happening in Bakersfield and some good stuff as well. So September is a busy month, and of course, everything coupled with what's happening on campus, and always make a great weekend to come out and check out a Roadrunners game because there's all sorts of other events happening around Bakersfield as well. So a few weeks ago, the NCAA decided to change some things when it comes to their governance structure. I read through it. I didn't understand it. I told Marcus Brown, our Senior Associate AD for Compliance, you need to come on the show and help us explain this in English. So he's here. Marcus joins us once again in our In Focus segment. So can you kind of just, in a nutshell, a couple weeks ago, what was done by the NCAA when it came to this new governance structure?
You call me the expert on this.
You're the expert. You got more degrees than I do. One of them is a law degree, so that makes you ultimately smarter than I am.
Oh, well, let's see if we can answer this from a non-power conference.
Yes.
So August, first week of August.
Yeah.
The the death knell rang, if you will, and the decision was made to change the structure dramatically for the NCAA. We're actually in a comment period right now, which means that it still can be overridden for another 28 days or so. But assuming that's not the case, what has happened is the NCAA has allowed the structure of the membership to change, to give support and leverage to the power conferences to be able to direct, propose, and administer legislation that helps the well-being of their student-athlete population.
Right.
For the rest of the membership, that simply means that the opening of the structure allows us more flexibility and permissibility to do the things if we can afford to do it.
Right. Right.
That's about the way that I would simplify the issue.
Okay.
It's structurally, it changes quite a bit. If you remember in the old structure, the NCAA started out with a couple structures with your board of directors and moving down into various councils. And those have been streamlined quite a bit now, which has changed to including more representatives that have value to the conversation, like athletic directors being in the primary council.
And we have that graphic. We have the new board composition graphic. There it is right there. So there's the old model with the 18 total, and then you had presidents from the FBS schools and presidents from FCS and Division I conferences without football. Then you have the new proposal on the right, which is 10 from the FBS up top, presidents from FCS on the left there, presidents from Division I without football on the right, and then student athlete rep, an athletic director, faculty athletics rep, and SWAs.
Which is extremely significant. If you focus on those individual, the student athlete, the faculty athletic rep, the athletic director, and the senior women administrator, those are significant changes, being that the membership clamored for quite some time in this whole process to make sure that those key stakeholders, because they're closest to what's happening on a day-to-day basis, have input at every level, not to mention. And so if you go down even to the council levels, you'll see that student athletes play a significant role, the faculty athletic director plays a significant role, and the AD is always in the mix as well.
Yeah, and so, but with this board, also there was a change, right, on how the potential legislation could come about.
Actually, yes, there is, and it breaks down in one of two ways. Number one, if you're in the power conferences now that can propose on a certain schedule their own legislation, what happens now is we go through a normal cycle where it used to be multiple dates throughout the year, October, April, where you could propose legislation and then it would be passed. However, with the Big Five now, they have the ability to propose legislation early in the fall, and they have their business meeting at the convention, and then at one point in April, all year, and I think it starts in 2015-16 for the entire membership, but in April will be the moment where all legislation is now adopted legislation is decided upon and implemented going forward.
Okay.
So it changes the timeline, streamlines it a bit, which I think was a goal of the committee pulling this forward for the membership, and it gives the flexibility of the Power Five conferences and those that would be using the rules that come out of that permissibly. It gives them the ability to propose what they want, when they want, if you will, and go ahead and move on that. Now, what fail-safe is in place is also the ability that if for some reason a piece of legislation is not passed initially, then what happens is if it goes through the system, there's a 2-year moratorium, if you will, a restriction where you cannot propose that same tweak, if you will, to any legislation that's going through, which is a good fail-safe.
Yeah, make sure that so there's not like some strong arming going on.
Absolutely.
Real quick on and then the council operations change as well. We have that graphic. This is we're going to replace the current legislative and leadership councils from. There's a little more input now, conference representatives, and now at top you've got faculty from each from each of the FAR associations. So you got 4 conference commissioners and 2 student athletes involved in this as well. So there's definitely a good push to have more input from student athletes. How does this kind of change?
Well, if you see the chart that you have there, it broke down initially, previously in 2 different councils, and there's an academic council that also existed, which is still going to report to the highest council in this new structure. But what's now changed is that they've kind of moved that structure into one council, okay? And the council in this system is really the group that deals with the day-to-day operations of the membership.
Yeah.
So the initial board, if you will be set up to kind of gauge and set the direction, but the day-to-day operations of legislation and academics and what movement the membership wants to make will be handled in this particular entity.
And there's a little bit of a weighted voting as well, which 37.5% go to the 5 highest resource conferences.
They do, but if you go down and you if you follow the rest of the breakdown in that conference, what the NCAA has suggested in this model is that the power conferences do not have an overwhelming sense of power in this situation. Yeah. Actually, I heard a statistic at one point we were going through the convention sessions that suggested that statistically the FCS schools and the remaining schools that are not in the 5 power conferences actually do not have a record of voting unanimously with the power schools. So the NCAA felt comfortable in leaving the structure and the percentages of influence that break down in the voting because they believe that it does add some sort of parity and protection from the rest of the membership to go ahead and move legislation as they have need. All
right. Well, it definitely helps a little bit. And I know we got about a minute and a half here, and I know some of it, there were some other things that went across that came to in place recently with the unlimited food and meals and all that stuff, which has turned into some programs at the FBS level hiring their own chefs, their own chefs and their own sous chefs to cook all the meals for their student athletes.
That's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely different.
Ours is on the way.
Right. Now hiring sous chef for CSUB athletics. That's definitely taking that to a different direction than I think maybe the NCAA expected. But,
I think so. With that flexibility, of course, you know that people are going to become more and more creative about how to use that flexibility. For those of us who are not in those Power Fives or with all of the resources, I don't think that the game doesn't change. Right. But I'll tell you what the amazing story is. Is it a better story that the Giants always beat up on the little kids, or you have the David winning over Goliath story, regardless of the resources? I think that's what our focus has always been, and that's what we do.
And make it even better when you do things like beat San Diego State 1-0 in men's soccer.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks, Marcus, for joining us. We got to wrap it up. Hey, folks, join us next week on the program. Our student-athlete profile will be Joe Massamia. Stephon Carter, former Roadrunner, going to join us from Spain, where he's now a professional basketball player. Congrats to him signing that contract. And that'll be coming up on next week's show. You can get this show anytime online at GoRunners.com. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll catch you next time. This has been Roadrunner Rundown.